Hello and welcome to Gabbitt Media. I'm Grant Abbott and today I'm talking about the kit that I use, and I get lots of questions about this, so here we go. So to start off with, I've got two monitors. You can probably just see the corner of this one here. In fact, I'll bring the camera around so you can see, sort of unprofessionally bring the camera around. It's on a tripod at the moment, so it's awkward. But this is an XP Pen 24 Pro, as you can see there, probably out of focus, but I do have a separate video on that as well. So that's the drawing tablet I use. That's probably the most important piece of kit for me, apart from my base unit, of course. That's the one I like the most at the moment, just because of the size. I like having a big screen. I like the XP Pen Innovator 16. I think that's really good as well. And in fact, I slightly prefer the XP Pen Innovator 16. It's just got a nicer feel on the screen, and it's nice and thin, so it doesn't take up much space. But I'd really like having a huge, big monitor to draw on. I used to use a Wacom Mobile Studio Pro. It broke. I sent it away to get fixed. It cost me £1,000 to get fixed, and it broke again, and I'm kind of giving up on it. I'm a bit disappointed with Wacom, to be honest, so thumbs down for Wacom. And that's probably worth noting. If you're going to buy something like a Wacom second hand and it's quite expensive, you don't get any warranty, and you might get issues, and it costs you an awful lot to fix. If it's under warranty, you're okay. So if you buy it new from Wacom, you're okay. But I think these other drawing tablets are catching up. I use this one every day, doing a lot of 2D work recently and a lot of sculpting. Absolutely love it. So the XP Pen Pro 24. I've got another BenQ monitor up here, which you can see behind me. It's got Adobe Premiere running, which is one of the pieces of software that I use at the moment. So it's recording my voice. Well, the monitor isn't, but but you can see Premiere is. So it's 30. Is it? No, it's a 28-inch screen actually. So it's not hugely big. It's sort of propped up by a Bible there. But you can tell I'm not that fussed about what my room looks like. It's not important to me. And if you looked at the other side, is a huge tip. And I get sent graphics tablets from different companies and all sorts, and they're all over there, sitting there waiting for me to do a review such as this. Hopefully slightly better than this and more professional. It's worth saying actually, in terms of graphics tablets, and I meant to say this, that I wouldn't go for Huion, Yuji, Gammon, or what's the other one? Artisol. I've had huge problems. They've sent me display tablets, and I haven't been able to do a review because they haven't worked on both my computers. Although having said that, the Huion, I donated that to my college, and that worked fine on a Mac. So if you've got a Mac, which is maybe if you're doing 2D stuff, if you've got a Mac, that's fair enough. If you've got a Mac and you're doing games design stuff, you might struggle a bit anyway. But they tend to work on a Mac without problems, but I've had huge amounts of problems going backwards and forwards. Oh, the pen's wrong, so they sent me out a new pen, and it blatantly isn't the pen. Then I've sent one back, and they sent me another one out. This is Huion, and I just can't get it to work. And then when I uninstall the drivers and go to reinstall my XP Pen, I'm having problems. So it's quite frustrating, and I've talked to other people that have had the same issues, particularly with Huion for some reason. They used to be really good, but the drivers just more recently are a big problem. The actual hardware itself is very good, and it's very comparable to the XP Pen that I'm using, but it's just a word of warning for you on those other driver companies. So my base unit, which you can see in the background here, I got that off eBay, and I don't think that was a good idea because the recall you have if there's any problems isn't so great on eBay, and it would be better if it was a bigger company. The only reason I did that, it was right at the beginning of lockdown, and you couldn't get a PC very quickly. It was very difficult, and I kind of needed one straight away because lots of things were happening for Gabbitt Media then. I was working on the Atlas Empire game, doing a new course and all sorts. So yeah, so I needed a new PC just to speed things up a bit, and it does make a huge difference. It is nice. This cost me £2,000, Windows 10. It's a Ryzen 3700. That's probably not how you say it. And an RTX, the graphics card is an RTX 2080 Ti, which is a bit disappointing because I got it about 6 months ago, a bit less than that now actually, about maybe 4. and now the RTX 3000 series has come out and it's blown it out of the water, and it costs the same. But that's one of those things. I've got a lot of use out of it, so that's fair enough. And 32 gig of RAM. It's not essential to have a monster beast machine like this. Did I say it costs £2,000? You don't have to spend that much money. I've seen good second-hand machines for more like £400 that will do a lot of really useful stuff in Blender. It just steer clear of the obvious particle systems and things like grass and volumetrics and stuff like that. Just be a bit careful with those, and maybe sort of high-end sculpting. And that's why I had to upgrade, because I do a lot of sculpting and I want to push it that bit further, and it does help. But it's not huge. It's not a massive, huge jump. I would say it's from a sort of laptop to a base unit like this is a big jump in terms of power. But when you're going from decent base unit to a very good base unit, there's only a small climb in terms of what you can do. So don't worry about it. Don't be thinking about the hardware too much. Think about improving your artistic skills. That's the most important thing, as I always say. Yes, so I've also got, I've talked about the BenQ monitor, haven't I? I've had it for quite a few years now, probably 5 years, and it does well, but the problem is the calibration. The XP Pen's a bit better, a bit richer in colour. That's a bit sort of bright, and the blacks don't come out particularly well. And it is important, if you are doing professional work, particularly 2D work, but any of your 3D work sort of going to print, that you have a good calibrated monitor. Good calibrated monitor, I'm not sure that makes sense, but in terms of the colours will match the print and so forth. So a good monitor will be important if you're going to print quite a lot. And if you're doing any professional work, you should be having, should be using a good monitor. The weird thing is I kind of know the limitations of my monitor, so I know not to oversaturate things because they'll look more saturated on a good monitor. So I tend to sort of underdo it slightly, and I'm just kind of used to the monitors. But generally speaking, it's a good idea to have one of your monitors at least that is nicely calibrated, and put it on that to see the end result, just to make sure you know what it's going to look like. Like I say, if you've got several monitors, that's helpful, and you calibrate them slightly differently. That's slightly useful because you can see what it's going to look like on other people's monitors. So if someone has a bad monitor, you can see how it's going to look like a little bit desaturated. So it can be helpful, and I like to do that and have them, and I don't calibrate them for that reason. But I would like to have one monitor that it is calibrated and it's nice, a nice monitor. BenQ did say they're sending out a monitor to me to review, but it hasn't come. That's why I usually have 3 monitors. I like to have reference images on one, draw on another, and if I'm recording, the recording screen's on the other one. So it's worth me having 3 in that sense. But for most people, I would say 2 monitors. 2 monitors does make a big difference from one. It is really helpful to have your reference images on a different screen. Okay, in terms of my keyboard, ooh, big bang there. In terms of my keyboard, you can see it's the Logic keyboard from the Logic Keyboard Company, and it's got the Blender keys on it. So all the shortcut keys and things. It's quite fun, and it's a good learning tool, but I don't find myself using it much, obviously, because I know most of the shortcuts in Blender. But it could be useful if you're starting out and you're wanting some sort of, if you're in the market for a keyboard anyway, and you want to sort of figure these the shortcut keys out. It's nice to be able to look at them quickly and be able to learn from it. But I would say once you've got your learning all sorted out, it's probably no need. It's a nice keyboard, although the first one they sent out did have a sticky F12 key, or not sticky, but it did. I had to press it quite hard in order to render, which is weird. But they sent me another one. That's all fine. It's nice. It's a nice weight. It's nice and heavy, so it is a good keyboard in that sense. So it's nice to type on. But they are fairly expensive compared to just your average keyboard, so that's worth thinking about. I've got affiliated links for a lot of these things. I'm not sort of fussed really. I don't earn a lot through affiliated links, but I put them on there so you can support me if you're going to buy one of these things. So for things like the XP Pen Innovator, the Pro 24, and things like the Logitech keyboard, I'll put affiliated links down there. The microphone I use is the Shure SM7B. It's got that sort of radio mic feel. I do quite like that. I'm using a Scarlett, an old Scarlett Focusrite to record through my microphone if anybody's interested in those sort of things. This camera is a Lumix G85, so it's quite a nice camera, but it's not sort of top end. The mic I use is, I suppose, top end, but everything else isn't as sort of high end as you'd expect, it being my sort of livelihood. I suppose you can also see one of the lights in the background. I don't like these big huge lights, but they were cheap and they work. And I've got a little remote control for my lights. I like this, so I can turn them off and on nice and easily. In terms of software, at the moment I'm using Adobe Premiere to edit videos, but it crashes a lot. So a free piece of software you can use is DaVinci Resolve, and I'm probably going to move across to that pretty soon. I do like to use Photoshop for editing my thumbnails for my videos, but again, it costs money. so I'm going to look for a different program pretty soon, because getting rid of Premiere, I might as well get rid of Photoshop and go, because I'm very much a sort of free software person, as you may have noticed. Critter is the one I use for painting, and I'm using that a lot recently. I'll probably put out some 2D stuff soon, and having lots of fun doing that. I'll probably do a 2D course soon as well, actually. If anybody's interested, let me know. And obviously Blender for all the 3D stuff and the sculpting and so forth. That kind of goes without saying, because it's mainly a Blender tutorial channel, isn't it? Maybe we'll diversify at some point. Okay, so I think that is everything. Let me know what kit you're using, and whether you agree with my choices, and maybe about graphics tablets. I'll certainly do another video about display tablets along the line of how you set them up and which ones you should buy separately from this. Yeah, if you've got any issues with those brands that I mentioned, it'd be interesting to know, and for other people to know. So comment in the link, comment below, and tell us about your experiences, so you can inform other people. So do read the comments. That would be very useful to you, I'm sure. Okay, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.